Wanted to make a leg warmer for this fall season? You've come to the right place. Here's how to knit a very easy leg warmer that uses the 2x2 rib stitch, perfect for those who are new to knitting or a great palette cleanser for experienced knitters. For this project, I'll be using a skein of this bulky weight yarn from Abbey Road. This is the Wool to be Wild yarn, which is a merino wool and acrylic blend in the color pink mix. I'll also be using 5.5mm circular knitting needles. I'm using this one by Knit Pro and it comes in the Gratitude set. This one has a 60cm cord, but the shorter the cord, the better. And you can also use double pointed needles if you like. Other miscellaneous things you'll need is a pair of scissors, tapestry needle, a stitch marker, and measuring tape. Next, we'll have to take some measurements. Depending on how high you'll wear your leg warmers, take the measurement of the widest part of your leg. Since I don't want mine to be too high, I'm taking the measurement of my calf, which comes to 30cm. The final measurement of my leg warmer is 8cm when unstretched and 20cm when stretched. You can make a gauge watch for this project, but I find that it's difficult to get an accurate number with the stretchiness of the ribbing, so this project comes with a lot of trial and error. First step is casting on. Take about a wingspan's worth of yarn and make a slip knot. Take your needle and slide the slip knot through the needle. The tail end of your work should be at the back, while the yarn that's attached to the ball is at the front. Next, we'll cast on the stitches. You can cast on any number as long as it's a multiple of 4, then plus 1 to that number. For reference, I'm casting on 41 stitches for a 30cm calf. I would recommend adding 4 stitches for every additional 5cm and vice versa. So if the widest part of your leg measures 35cm, cast on 45 stitches instead. Again, this is highly dependent on the tension of your stitches, but this is just a suggestion for me to get you started. I'll be using the long tail cast on method, alternating between doing it knitwise and purlwise. To begin, hold your stitches in the diamond shape, the tail end at your index finger and the ball end with your thumb. First stitch we cast on will be a long tail cast on knitwise. Insert your needle under the left strand around your thumb, then go over and under the left strand around your index finger. Now go back through the first strand you picked up. Let go of the front strand and pull to tighten. Now we have 2 stitches on our needle, counting the slip knot as 1 stitch. Since we're doing a 2x2 ribbing, we'll do the same thing a second time. Now we'll cast on 2 stitches purlwise. With the same diamond formation, we'll do the same thing but in the opposite direction. So bring your needle underneath the right strand on your index finger, picking that up. Then go under the right strand around your thumb. Use your thumb to push that down so it doesn't come loose and go through the 2 strands of your index finger. Let go of the back strand and pull to tighten. You can see that there is a slight difference between casting it on knitwise and purlwise. The stitch that we just casted on has a little bump compared to the one casted on knitwise. So we'll cast on purlwise one more time to create that 2x2 rib pattern. Repeat that pattern, casting on 2 stitches knitwise and then 2 stitches purlwise until you've reached the desired number of stitches, which in my case is 41. This is what my work looks like when I'm done. Next step is joining the stitches in the round so we can work them more efficiently. Since my needle is quite long, we'll have to divide it up so it's easier to work with. Push your work and divide it up around the left needle and your cord. It doesn't have to be evenly spread, just spread enough so that you can knit it properly. Before we knit, make sure that the stitches are not twisted. Here you can see all the bumps flow smoothly in one direction. The side with the working yarn should be on your right needle, so position your hands accordingly. Slip the first stitch on your left needle onto your right needle purlwise. Insert your left needle into the front of the first 2 stitches of your right needle. Take your working yarn, make sure to take the yarn that's attached to the ball, not the tail end, and wrap it around your needle in an anti-clockwise direction. Grab that yarn and drop the 2 stitches of your needle. Pull on the working yarn and the tail end to tighten. Take your stitch marker and slide it onto the right needle. This will be the beginning of round marker that indicates when you've reached the start of a new round. You will slip this marker when you come to it. Now we'll start on the K2P2 rib pattern. Since we casted on the first 2 stitches knitwise, these will be knit stitches. To knit a stitch, insert your right needle from the front to the back of the stitch, such that it forms an X. Take your working yarn and go around your right needle in an anti-clockwise direction. Push your right needle out, grabbing the stitch you knitted, and drop the stitch on the left needle. Next stitch is a knit stitch, so do the same thing. Since I've run out of yarn on my left needle, I'm going to divide my stitches up again. Next 2 stitches will be a purl stitch. Before you work the stitch, bring the yarn from the back to the front of your work. Insert your needle into the front of the first stitch. Then wrap the working yarn around your right needle counterclockwise. Pull the stitch you created out and slip the stitch off your needle. Then we'll go back to knitting 2 stitches. First, move the yarn from the front to the back of your work. Then knit the 2 stitches. Once you're done, purl the next 2 stitches. That is basically the pattern for the rest of the leg warmer. Just repeat K2, P2 until the end of the row and repeat row 1 for all the other rows as well. Usually there'd be a right side and a wrong side when we're knitting, but since both the pattern and the cast on edge is reversible, you don't have to worry about it. If you're not sure what's the difference between a knit stitch and a purl stitch, a knit stitch is in the shape of a V, while a purl stitch has a horizontal bump. The repetition of this pattern creates a stretchy and squishy fabric. After working a few rows, your work will look something like this. Make sure to try it on every few rows to make sure it's fitting you how you'd like. Work the pattern until you reach the desired length for your leg warmer. Mine measures 20 cm. Now we're going to cast off and you should be at the start of a new row. To cast off, knit the first 2 stitches as per normal. Then knit the 2 stitches on your right needle through the back loop like we did when joining the stitches in the round. There, we've casted off 1 stitch. Next stitch is a purl stitch, so purl that first. and then pull the 2 stitches on your right needle. To do that, insert your left needle into the 2 stitches on your right needle through the back, and then pull the 2 stitches together to cast off. Next stitch is a purl stitch, so pull that first. And then pull the 2 stitches together again. What the next stitch is, that will be the stitch you'll use when casting off. So since the next stitch is a knit stitch, you'll cast off the next stitch by knitting the 2 stitches through the back loop. If the next stitch is a purl stitch, you'll cast off by purling the 2 stitches through the back loop. Do that until you only have 1 stitch remaining on your right needle.
Cut a tail about 5 cm long and wrap it around the right needle. Bring the stitch over the tail and pull on the tail to tighten. And you're done with one leg warmer. The last step is to weave in the loose tails from our cast on and cast off row. For this step, you'll need your tapestry needle. Like I mentioned earlier, there's no right and wrong side for this project since it's reversible. However, pick one side to be your right side, then we'll weave in the tails on the wrong side. I decided that this side will be my right side, and I just folded the top of the leg warmer down a little so it's easier for me to see the stitches. By the way, we are starting on the side with the cast on row. Thread your tail into the tapestry needle. Find the closest knit stitch and we'll start threading the tail through the stitches. Once you've gone through a few stitches, pull the tail through. Make sure you don't see any popping out on the other side, and we'll do the same thing on the opposite side of the same knit stitch. Tug on the stitches to loosen it a little and cut the remaining length of yarn. Next, we'll weave in the cast off edge, which is slightly different to the cast on edge. You can see here that the edges are not joined together and there's a little gap in between. So before we weave in the tail, we want to close this gap. Thread the tail into your tapestry needle. Find the stitch on the top of the left side of your work. It looks like a knit stitch and has a little V. Thread your tapestry needle through that stitch and pull through. Now the gap has been closed, then I like to do it 2 more times to make it more secure. Make sure to end on the wrong side, then we'll thread it through the knit stitches again. By the way, when you're going through the stitches, go through it from the same direction for every single stitch. So here I was having some difficulty because I went from the right side of the first stitch, but I couldn't go through the right side of the second stitch. So then I just decided to go through the left side instead, and I continued doing that for the rest of the stitches. When you've gone through a good amount of stitches, pull the tapestry needle through and repeat it on the opposite side of the same stitch. Tug on the fabric to loosen the stitches and cut the rest of the yarn. Repeat the whole process for a second leg warmer. And you have a little bit more yarn to spare. Here's an extra treat for those with furry friends. Leg warmers for your little pets.
Got to keep those furry legs warm as well, plus you get to match with them. I casted on 21 stitches.
Join the stitches in the round. Knit in K1P1 rib pattern for 12 rows.
And then cast off. This was a little big for my cat, but modify the number of stitches according to the circumference of your pet's legs. And if you're knitting a K1P1 ribbing, you would do a multiple of 2 stitches plus 1 instead. Clearly, Shasha didn't like the leg warmers very much, but with some persuasion, I managed to get them on solely for this video. You'll never catch her wearing them ever again though. If you'd like to refer to a written pattern for the adult version, but if anyone is interested in the pet version, I could write that one up as well. You can check it out on my blog at www.daylightsbynurin.com. If you found this tutorial helpful, it'd be great if you could give this video a like and subscribe to Daylights for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.